I don't think this music's working. Oh, well. Welcome to, unfortunately, the last Hot Tea with Pleasure show. I am Hillary in Ontario, Canada. Yes. And this is the show where we kept it raw and real, and I'm going to keep it very raw and very real right now. Unfortunately, Teresa has decided to leave the show, and we want to thank her for her dedication for the last year or so. Um, uh, and it's actually in line with what was coming next, and that was my book's coming out, and I really had to go and dedicate myself to my book. And my book is called F Fat I Am Black. I'm very, very excited about it coming up. And so we have created a show around that. And I hope that you stay with me. They will be candid conversations about acceptance and love and relationship, sexuality, all these different things, and abuse and trauma. All these things are within the book. And I just want to build the show around it. The show is called Embrace Your Edges, a sit down with Hillary. I will be checking in and see, what's going on with you and creating topics, heartening topics around that the book. The show will be mainly recorded, but there will be some live shows, especially when the book is launched. Probably going to have you guys come out and be with me. uh, so yes, so this is the last episode with hot tea with pleasures. We I will still be bringing out that lubricant under my platform, as well as some other things, goodies to go along with that lubricant. So I'm excited about that as well. And I'm a lonely wolf, but I still have Collect with Love with me. Hey, Collect with Love. Okay, girl, thank you so much for staying with me and believing in my dream. I know that this will be a success. And if you just stay with me, I know that you will enjoy more to come. We had a rough beginning, and yes, there are ups and downs, but we wish Teresa well and on with the show. Okay, so you are not going to be able to catch us Instagram anymore, but you can still come over to the platform. The platform has been renamed. We're still working on changing over everything. It will be called Embrace Your Edges, and you can find it on Instagram for now. And YouTube channel will be coming up. That's where all of my shows would be housed. And yeah, they will. So we're pulling down the RS. No, the RSS is going to stay up. We're going to pull down the TikTok, and because really, we really didn't have time for the TikToks. And yeah, so again, you can find my new show, Embrace Your Edges. It will start the first week of March. It will be a daily show every morning at 5:30. You can listen to it anytime at your desk, on your way to work or whatever. Um, but it will be pre-recorded. It will be there for you to listen in on. You can pick up the clips on RSS, or you can watch it on YouTube. But it will be every day, daily at 5:30. Hear what I have to say. And hey, Collect with Love. What's my tagline? Because I keep forgetting it. Tell me about your edges, where you get to tell me, ask me some questions, and I get to answer you as frankly as possible. Okay, so let's finish out the last show. Again, we thank you so much for tuning in every Saturday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time here on YouTube. And we're going to talk to you tonight about Collect. Pushing that limit. And pushing the limit means, going over the idea, the area that gray area of going from sexy and healthy to obsession, so or addiction. So let's continue. Let's get this last one out from underneath our belts. And yeah, oh, so for the rest of February, again, if you want to catch all the old shows, you can check them out on YouTube. But for the rest of February, this is it for me as Hot Tea with Pleasures, and I'll be back with you in March on my new show, Embrace Your Edges. I hope that you join me and you watch the shows, and then I'll try to have those products out to you in your hands by the summer. Okay, let's go. Well, don't you want to know what I'm whining about? Because I want to tell you what I'm whining about. It changed. Ah! I was gonna whine about my eyes dry, but I let me tell you something about gaslighting, right? I am going to whine about gaslighting. For some reason, people like to gaslight me. But I just want people to know I know when gaslighting is happening. And I just allow it to happen. And I continue my day. I will not get involved in your gaslighting. And so I do not, that's what I'm whining about. What are you whining about? Oh, yes. Mm, yeah. Everything happens for a reason, baby girl. Yeah. So it. Listen, we all start something, and we try. An entrepreneur, you try something, and if it works, it works. It doesn't, it doesn't. And there was a lot of conflict of scheduling that was happening behind closed doors, and you know I think my book coming out too, my schedule was gonna increase even more. So everything happened at the right time. It's supposed to happen, and I don't ever question God's work, right? So here we go. Let's get on with this show and let's kick it out. I think it's an interesting one. Uh, okay. Disclaimer: the information here is research and being shared. So let's start with the first topic. Correct? Hmm. Hmm. Right. Right. Hmm. Okay. Yeah. You know what they call Whole Foods in Barbados, right? Roots food. Yeah, it's so interesting how the North American society would call something something, and meanwhile the origin of it is like, nope, this is what it is. So I grew up with not grew up, but my beginning years, and that was called roots food, and even in America that it's called soul food, right? So yeah, so go on. Hmm. Mm, right. Yeah. 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 That. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Oh, what do you do? What do you what are some of the things that you do? Okay. Okay. All right. Yeah. Listen, when it comes to good mental health or some kind of balance, whatever, prayer is one of those things that people do use to kind of as a meditation, to kind of center and ground themselves. So it's good. It's all good. Yeah. Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. Right. Mhm. You know why I'm smiling, right? You know why I'm smiling? You just use the Bible and hot tea with pleasures in the same line. Oh God, that's funny. I use the Bible to tell me about hot tea. Imagine the cyber. That's what I'm saying. Imagine the cyber person, like cybersecurity, and they're just like, "Wait, what's she looking at?" That's good. That's good. Okay, good for you. Yeah, yeah. Hmm. Yeah. Mm, yeah. But they have people like me. I go to bed around like 2 o'clock in the morning, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. You know what I learned. I know we're laughing and everything like that. We have a great time, but I learned something that's pretty interesting. I'm gonna dead in the mood a little bit here, but bring it back up after. Uh, I learned something last week that was really interesting, and I had to look at it for myself and determine whether or not this is my intersection happening or whether or not it's just me, right? So, what I learned was that, uh, you know, our culture, it's cultures that had hardship beginning when it comes to slavery and imprisonment and, genocide, et cetera. And there's a lot of sexual violence, etc. in there. And those traumas have been passed on through our generations. And then, let's say, happen to you, what happens is that your alarm clock in your body tells you that if you sleeping is danger, and so you, and then all these different things that have happened have created the idea and the conditioning that you should be sleeping. You should not be sleeping. You should be awake. And so it's hard to get into that pattern of sleeping a long time because you see sleeping as a danger. Because if you've been woken up too many times, then you don't want to ever be woken up again. So you lessen that sleep. So I've had that trauma. So I had to determine whether that was something I was still sitting in, or whether or not it was me. So, yeah, of course, I have my handy dandy doctor. I was on my doctor's office, and he what he said was that some people just cannot sleep too long. If I sleep more than 5 hours, I am exhausted. Okay, I mean exhausted. I can't function properly. I get lethargic. I it's just it's a hot mess. But give me 2 3 hours, I'm ready. And yeah, and people are like, "Are you okay? Do you have insomnia?" I do not have insomnia. I sleep, but I only my body wakes up naturally. Um, so let's say I go to sleep around 2 o'clock. By 5 o'clock, I'm ready. I'm up and I'm like ready to go. Yeah, and I can't go to sleep. If you ever see me sleeping though in the daytime, I'm sick. That's the only time I can sleep in the daytime is if I'm ill. So I'm going to challenge that statement for people like me that are healthy uh, sleepers, but we only need a short amount of rest, and we're good. Not tonight. Don't judge me. I have a dry eye syndrome. So, anyways, go on. Yeah. Yeah. Yes. Hmm. Yeah. Mm. Is vegetables on that list? That's the inside joke. We're gonna keep that joke inside. Colette is allergic to vegetables. She just it's like, nope. I am not having vegetables. Girl. Vegetables are so people have a problem with it. I'll tell you, people that have problems with vegetables has to do it's a mental block. It literally is because they taste just as good as food. It is you like what? You should be eating corn is not even made for humans. It's true. It was made for animals. Yeah. It was not made for humans. That's why it takes so long to digest. And you can look that up. Lettuce is good, but you need other vegetables other than lettuce. That's the greenery. You know what you can do? You know what you can do if it really is the issue for you, just don't like the texture or whatever, because some people just don't like the texture of vegetables, right? You can do a smoothie, or you can make sure you take your vitamins, right? But you still have to balance it out with something, as you said, the whole food. So maybe instead of um the greenery vegetables per se, maybe you go to the roots food and get the yams and the eddos and the greens and the spinach and stuff like that, and do it into more of a food, and maybe that'll be a little bit more digestive for you. Oh, I want to see that. Okay, let's move on. That was funny. Yeah, sexy. So people often look at someone who exercises, as healthy role model, but it happens when this healthy body becomes more unhealthy obsession. And I think this is more. I'm going to leave sexy for you, and I'm going to talk about because I really want to dive into the limits, right? So do you want to tackle the sexy? I'll add on there, and then I want to dive into the over the limits because that's more my department. Yeah, take over to sexy. Hmm. 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 What does that mean? Controlled? Oh, I see what you're saying. Like where your sexuality is more heightened, and is this sexual addiction? Is that what it is? Sex addiction? Like for me, what does sexy mean to you? Yes. Hmm. Yeah. Hmm. Right. Right. For me, like, yeah, for me, sexy for I like people that are ambitious. I find that very sexy and alluring. When a person's ambitious or have some kind of goal and focus and it's goal focused, to me that's really sexy. So I think sexy can have various levels of excitement based on whatever it is you're interested in. That's what's sexy, and that's why it's such a broad word for me. Uh, the word sexy does not mean physical. Uh, it means beyond that. So it's the whole package. A person that, as you said, confident is confident to wear whatever they want to wear, confident to smile whenever they want to smile, and go for whatever they want to go for. That is sexy to me. You know. But what does that article have to say about being sexy? Hmm. Yeah. Hmm. Hmm. I think people get a different. Hmm. I think there's people get confused with sexy, sexuality, and sex. You know, I think there's a confusion. There's such a thin line between all three of them, and a person they look at physicality as sexy. You know, what is a person wearing? Is the person has big boobs, or if they're into, but they don't realize that you're using your own idea of what sexy is to determine what's sexy, right? And so, let's say, for example, a person is into legs and they see a person with long legs and they're like, wow, she's really sexy. Meanwhile, the next person next to them that's not attracted to a person with long legs might be looking at you with 10 heads, like, where? you know? So the sexiness, the idea actually comes from the person that's observing. And and that's why sexy looks so different, and so we get really confused with sexy as in physicality and sexy as in expression, and not really looking at the fact that it has to do with the person doing the observation, right? You know what I mean? That makes sense. Okay. So yeah, so I think, long story short form, when it comes to sexual, there's an argument that sex addiction is not real, right? There's no such thing as sex addiction, but tell it to the people that are dealing with it. And Um, I think what the argument is there's no such thing as sex addiction, but there's other things that cause you to be addicted to sex. I think that's what the argument is, and I'm not going to get in the argument. I'm just giving the information. So, and like everything, there's good and bad. Too much of something of a good thing can end up being something that's bad. And so you the same way we use cigarettes or alcohol or some form of substance to control an emotion is the same thing that happens with when it comes to sex. And so a person might be using sex as either a way of escaping or a model behavior, or the person has been molested or abused and now acting out. It could be many, many different things. Or it's gone from this makes me feel really, really good for the moment and then carry that behavior on because you can't deal with your reality. So that same thing that we all love to do, make love to a partner or whatever, um, that same thing can go from being healthy, to a very negative light. So let's go on to talking about pushing the limit. And when we say pushing the limit, we're talking about exactly what I just spoke about is when these things now, the health and the sexuality and the sexiness go from uh, a positive way or a balance to now an obsession or addiction. So people often look at someone who exercises a lot as healthy role model, but what happens when this healthy hobby becomes too often an unhealthy obsession? Have you ever considered how it feels to be controlled or do something where you felt dominated by something external to yourself? Exercise, on the other hand, does not usually come in the forefront of people's mind when it comes to addiction. Compulsive behaviors develop when people are struggling in their lives, and this happens quite often. Stress and unhappiness can place a lot of pressure on people, and when the tension builds, some people find it hard to cope and express their emotions or their feelings. As a result, they may turn to unhealthy behaviors to cope. Exercise can begin as a healthy way of managing stress, and that's how I started. I was trying to manage my stress and cope and with a difficult time in my life. And this happens, it can, however, turn into something like more extreme. And I'm going to, you know, talk about me as a youth. I dealt with, and I've shared this on the show, I used to be 418 pounds. And I've dealt with a lot of different eating disorders over the years. I'm now love food and have a great relationship with food. But before I was anorexic, I was bulimic. Well, I went bulimic first and then I went to anorexia. And I had, I also had, I'm an obese person. I do not no longer have an obese mind, but you know, going through all of those, and all of those started where, when it came to the anorexia, I remember, okay, I'm not doing with bulimia anymore. I'm going to now be healthy. And I started eating lettuce and vegetables and this and that and working out. And the more I worked out, the more I became obsessed with how I looked. And the more I became obsessed with how I looked and being paranoid and feeling not confident. I thought I was confident, but I wasn't confident in my own skin. And before I knew it, I remember I was size 30, and then I went all the way down to size 8. And my mom caught it. Thank God she caught it when she did. And that same roots food, my grandpa gave me that roots food, got me back up. He was not playing. I spent a month in Barbados, and them kind of re- reconditioning me to start to love myself again. And that wasn't my bottom, because there's always a bottom. That wasn't my bottom, but that was my bottom for anorexia. So it's also common for people who live with eating disorders to become addicted to exercise. And that I was definitely, how long I exercised a day? I was I was a teenager because I was 16 years old when it happened. I would exercise, especially on Saturdays. On Saturdays, I would wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning, and I would exercise from 5 o'clock in the morning to 5 o'clock in the evening. Yeah, and then I would take a break, and I back exercising again at 8 o'clock, and I wouldn't stop until midnight. And how I hit it was, I would say I was dancing. I was doing my dancing or whatever, but I wasn't eating. I got down to I think the least I ever ate was, I stopped eating for 3 months at one point, but the least I ever ate, I remember, was a lettuce. And I was really upset with myself that I ate a piece of lettuce and I went and worked out for 5 hours. I remember that. Yeah. So, so being addicted involves doing an excessive amount of exercises and feeling, the high level of anxiety. And I remember that any workouts have to be missed. It can mean exercising even if the person, has an injury. I remember, I, I back in those days, you had the your wardrobe, your closet, you know, it opened like this, right? So like say like this, right? So when it was like this, there was a space between it, and then it was slammed like that. I was such in a hurry one day to go work out. I had taken off my clothes and just took a shower and went to go work, and I pushed my bum back and it clapped. And this held it, and I was held on. It was holding me, and I mean, I was in pain. And I remember my focus was like, man, I hope I don't get hurt too bad, so I can't exercise today. That's how much that addiction can control you. Yeah, exactly. And it can also mean spending more time exercising rather than engaging in any kind of personal or professional life. And I did not hang out with my friends. I was in that room 24/7, except for school. I would even miss school sometimes to go and do that. A state of dependence and develop if a person are forced to stop for any reason. Withdrawal symptoms can occur, and and depression can happen as well, right? So there are 5 ways that I'm going to share that you can help with this addiction. One, try to accept that you have a problem, and that's what I did, and recognize that your behavior is addictive. Two, try to engage in different physical activities rather than rapid workouts. These include such things as yoga, meditation, gardening, and walking. That's how I found gardening, was from this. And then, try to challenge your thought process. It takes time. Acceptance is a thing. I'm telling you, accountability and acceptance is something that it takes a while for you to get there, but once you get there, you can continuously become more and more accountable for your actions. But have most some positive affirmations. Write them down. I wrote on the wall, I am enough, and I would say that every single day. And then things to help you overcome these difficult times. I can do this. I will do this. Is some of the things that I would say. Number 4, reach out for support. Talk to your family and friends. And if you do not have any family members or friends, hey, I hear that when I was alone by myself for a long time, I didn't have anyone to turn to. There's a lot of support groups out there that can help you as well. Try not to isolate yourself. And as you begin to break your addiction cycle, you will need people around you to talk to. You're going to need that. And 5, seek counseling if you can. There are a lot of free counseling access out there. There is the Cafe Family Services here in Toronto, in Ontario. I'm going to say Toronto. I'm not in Toronto. In Ontario. It's Cafe Family Services. There's the CMH. Uh, that is the Canadian Mental Health Association. They are also there, and there's so many different crisis lines that you can call. 211 311 is universal when it comes to North America, so you can call them, find out in your community who you can turn to, or in your region. So when you seek professional help, a professional therapist can help you understand why you have developed this relationship and exercise in the first place, and consequently, they can help you find ways to change it. Correct. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Hmm. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Hmm. Yeah. And you know what's interesting is that I remember there was a young lady that I was being compared to, and I was being told that I was fat. And society has used fat. There's a lot of fatism, and it has used fat as a weapon and weaponized that word to make you feel as though you're not good enough, to make you feel as though something is wrong with you. And skinny don't mean healthy. You know, balance means healthy. Okay, and you're sorry. Exactly. And it's so true. Right. Yeah. And that's the thing is that people don't realize that healthy does not mean that healthy is not an image. And they see people that are have all these muscles and this and that, and oh, you're healthy. No, healthy is having that balance between mental and physical and emotional being of calmness. That's healthy. And so I spoke to a nurse, and you know what she said to me? Because I was like, yeah, I want to be this particular weight. And when she goes, yeah, but is that weight for you? You have to know what weight is for your body, you know, and that weight is being is the ability to maintain it a particular way and not go up and down, which will cause so much pressure on your heart and different arteries. So when it came to anorexia, for example, I remember being so obsessed with my weight, and so that young lady was uh, I was being compared to her. And so I was like, oh my God, I'm so fat and compared to her and whatever. And then one day she came over and something spilled on her clothing. And she had some more in my pants. She said, you know what? I can fit in your pants because you're bigger than me. You're fat. So I can, I can fit in your pants. And she went to put on my pants and they were too small for her. And in that moment was when I realized I was a size, because I went all the way to a size. I started out as a size um, 30, but my end weight was a size 6, right? I got into 8 right before I went down to Barbados. I was size 6. So I was a size 6, and I was being told I was fat by a family member. Okay. And so you trust the people that are around you that's supposed to love you to tell you the truth. And being a young person, you're very influential, especially again if that person is a family member. So hearing consistently how fat I was fat, and I was this, and but you're fat. It was always a but you're fat, like it was a weapon. But you're fat, And so what would happen was I became I was going through other traumas already anyways, because by the time I was 8 years old, I already had someone try to touch me or has touched me more than one occasion. And so I have that. Then I have someone tell me that I'm fat. Then someone tell me my feet are too big. And this is everything is wrong with me. And so because you're hearing all these different things, that becomes a conditioning. And so what happened was I believed it. And although I saw that she couldn't fit into the pants, I still thought I was fatter than her, you know? So you're obsessed with that weight. You're so obsessed. I remember I had 3 scales, you know? So it becomes like a job that you don't want. And it takes a lot to get a person to stop thinking like that. But what you need around you, and it's hard to find when you're in that kind of mindset, you need positivity and positive people around you that will kick you in the ass and say, you are wrong and this is what's right. And when I say this is what's right, I mean what's real, what's really happening. Okay. Um, so thank God, over the years with counseling and different things and loving myself and understanding who I was, accepting my role in that and my accountability of it, and accepting myself and my flaws, but I love our now lessons. I can eat food and enjoy it. Yeah. And have a little wine too. Okay. Let's talk about the other one, bulimia. Yeah. Binging. Yep. Yeah. And that's the part we don't talk about is the male, population that do deal with anorexia, bulimia, and obesity. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter about male, female, whatever gender. People are people, okay? And people have problems, and it doesn't matter. It shouldn't matter whether or not that person is of any gender. So yes, that does happen. I did suffer with bulimia before anorexia, and so I would consume a whole bag of chips and then go throw it up, and that was my way of cleansing. And you fool your brain, you go through all of that, and I try to remember where all of this bad relationship with food came from. And it came from being punished to eat. So anytime, already people were seeing me as fat because I was a little chubby of a kid. I was cute. I was a chubby kid. And so anytime I would eat something, it would be a gasp or a comparison to an animal that was fat. I was called pink pig when I was a kid. I was called pink pig. I was called big pig. Okay. And so they thought it was cute. They thought it was cute, but it wasn't cute. It kept pushing down on my insecurity and my self esteem. And if you continuously tell a child over and over again one thing, the child would believe those adults. Okay. And so I started hiding food to eat. I didn't want to eat around people because I didn't want anyone laughing at me. I didn't want anyone telling me that I was a pig or I didn't want that. And so I kept hiding food and hiding and eating and sneaking, waking up in the middle of the night and eating because no one was around. And after doing that, and then the guilt started. And when the guilt started, you find ways of getting rid of food, and throwing up was my thing. So, um, when you see people are struggling with weight, a lot of the weight issue is not only themselves, but the pressures of society and the different commercialization of what fat, thin, healthy, and sexy looks like. Okay. And we have this idea that we see a person that, I'm not going to put down any celebrity either. I'll tell you why. Because it is not their fault that is the image that is being portrayed as being sexy and healthy and not pushing the limits. Okay. This new Ozempic, you know, and the whole noise around that and how many celebrities are using it. And a lot of them are denying they're even using it for the same reason we're talking about right now. Okay. So stop shaming other people for their disorders and for their traumas and for the different things that they're dealing with, and realize that all of these can rest from healthy to um, from healthy to um, the unbalance, which is unhealthy, right? And men. Doesn't matter, male, female, non-binary. It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, people are people. Let's have some common sense, people. I'm getting really tired of people, you know, um, having these barriers around uh, A, B, C, and D having different emotions. We're all human beings at the end of the day, and we all hurt when certain things happen. And so we have to acknowledge when a person is hurting. Okay. So, anyways, continue. I'm such an activist. Sorry. I got into my little activism. Forgot about the show. Yeah. That's coming up on Edges. Embrace your edges. Yeah, go on. Hmm. Hmm. Yep. Yep. Say it one more time. Tell that number one more time. No, no, the Connects, Connects Ontario. Yeah, yeah, Connects Ontario. Hmm. Yep. Hmm. Uh, can we talk a little before you go on? Can we talk a little bit about 211 and 311? Because I think people don't realize how universal those two numbers are and how important they are. They're very complex, but at the same time amazing. So 211 is one of those numbers that you can actually, instead of calling, see, 911, let me just teach y'all a little something something from my days in the government. So 911 is, if I don't call you, death can occur. That's what 911 is supposed to be for. Okay. 211 will get you an ambulance. 211 will also get you the police. 211 will get you the fire. But if you need all three of them, 911. And the reason you need all three of them is because death could happen. Look at that. It's a very it's not, yeah, not only that too. If you want to pay your light bill, your water bill, you want to, it has so many different connectors within your community, and your region, and 311 is more regional, so you can call 211 or 311 and get so many information. Anything you can't find, they can find for you. It's so good. United Way also supports 211. And it used to belong to, the region used to have it, and now it's Ontario, and it's also United States. It's also in Barbados, actually. It's universal, and 311 as well. And then there's also a 611. I'm not going to get you confused with that, but these two numbers, 211 and 311, if you're ever, I've heard that sometimes people in certain areas have called 911 and it's busy. Okay. Right. So you can call 211. You'll get through faster. Okay. But if it's a situation where death can happen or a person's life is at risk, please call 911. But if it's something where you just need the police, someone stole your purse yesterday or whatever, or you want to report a missing something, you can call 211 or 311 and they can get you to that connector faster. Okay. But as well, when it comes to eating disorders, um, or any kind of management or addiction, 211, 311, you can also connect you to the right agencies. Yeah. You know what's so, and it's so on you, it's so devalued, and it is such a powerful tool. It really is. Not because I sat on the committee, but because it really is. It really is. It's a very, very powerful tool, and we really should promote it even more than it does. United Way does sit with it. And I'm telling you, anything you want in your community that you need to know, 211. It is the white pages of the community, okay, and your region. And again, you want to pay your phone, your electric, your hydro, which is electric bill or your water bill or whatever. You can call 211 and figure it out. You can also, if it comes to anything, you name it, it's there. You want the ambulance, 211. Okay. All right. Next is bounce back. Tell us about bounce back. Yeah. Yeah, I love that one. They're so good. They're so good. Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, and that's I wanna. I went to a social the other day. I wanna shout out this particular agency because I got to sit with the person, one of the boards of actually the chair of director and the chair of the agency. It's called Nightingale Center. It's located in Guelph, Ontario, and it deals with grieving and bereavement for teens. And we don't really, yeah, it it's meant for families and other, and as well, but it's normally for children and teens. I think it's up to 24 years old. Um, a lot of the services and programs you know, are just specifically so for example the children's program is 6 to 12 and the youth program is 13 to 19, and this is another part that can actually affect a person's inability to love themselves at the moment because of guilt and continuing life. So I want to shout out Nightingale Center, and it's located in Guelph, Ontario. Phone number you can reach them at is 519-265-9594. They are amazing, and I really enjoyed talking to their chair. She was a lovely, lovely lady. We were over at the art lab in Guelph as well. Again, it is the Nightingale for Grieving Children, Youth, and Family. So we have some questions coming from our. I know it's hot to a pleasure ending show, but we're gonna ask. We had some fans and they had some questions, so we're gonna answer the questions as best as we can, and then we have the last 9 minutes of the show left. Colette with Love, I want to really thank you for all of your hard work. I know you work really really hard on this, and unfortunately it's ending, but we're not separating. We're going to continue with embracing your edges. I'm embrace your edges. I am so excited about this show because that means my book is coming out. So I you know this book is either going to be something um that is a plus or a realization. And I know there's some people are going to be uncomfortable with the book. I know there are going to be quite a bit of people who are going to be uncomfortable with my book, but read the title. Okay, let's answer some questions. Uh, the first question is depression is something that I have been thinking about recently. I don't have depression, and I pray and hope that I'll never get to experience it, but it still hurts when someone close to you is experiencing it. I am not professional either, but I feel guilty of not being able to help more. Are there more ways to be able to help people with depression aside from being there to listen and just being a good friend? Well, thank you very much for your question, Anonymous. uh, Well, I'll tell you this. You are doing a really good job if you're listening and being a good friend, because sometimes that's what a person does need. And although you might not think you're doing a lot, you're doing so much, because the support system is something that not everybody has access to. Okay. Another thing you can do if you want to be more of a support system or add to that, and again, you always have to ask for permission of the person that you're dealing with. Maybe find them resources in the community that can also help and support their depression. But again, being a friend, having that listening ear, that is so, so much. And you're such a good friend to be doing that. So I hope that answers your question. Thank you for the question. What's the next one? Yeah, that's a lot of bias. I don't know. What do you think, Colette? Uh, right. I'm going to go with yes and no for this one. Okay. I agree with you what you said there, but for some people, their depression is so severe and leads to different things like anxiety, and they also have paranoia and whatever. And the cannabis does help them calm enough to understand what's happening. But I get what you're saying too about when you come back to that comedy, that high is gone. You're still left with a problem. So at some point, you're going to have to get some kind of help. So hope that answers your question. This one is coming from Trisha. Okay, Trisha. How do I find a mental health support group? Well, there are multiple ways to find a support group. We did tell you about 311 and 211. Those are really good sources to find that support group that you're looking for. If you're in Canada, CMHA, you can always reach out to them and they can tell you about the supports that are in the area. And then I there's a platform called meetup.com. I always talk about this in my workshops. Meetup.com allows you to put any kind of interest that you have, and it will tell you what's in your area. So if you want something more local, that's something you can do. But of course, there's always Google. Google it and see, um, you know, and then also talk to people in your circle. You never know who is also dealing with a mental health issue, and they might be able to tell you what supports group they use. I hope that helps, Trisha. Colette, last question. To work out too much because you're thin? Okay. All right. Okay. You deal with that same issue, right? Yeah. Mhm. Mhm. So can I go at that one a little bit? Okay. So I say leave people garbage where they are. So if they have a problem with the way you look, that's their problem, not yours. And you have to build your confidence so that when other people have negative opinions of you and you know it's not true, you have to focus on what is true for you. You cannot focus on what others continue to say, because if you think about it, if you worry about what everyone says, you will be exhausted. Okay. And this is the piece that's a little bit tricky, because yes, it's great to say that, but it still hurts. And so maybe advocate for yourself. If you're strong enough, advocate for yourself where you can say, you know what, thank you for your opinion. However, this is my concern and I am healthy as I can be. And if that is a problem for you, I am sorry, that is your problem. own it. You do not have to explain yourself to anyone. Only person you need to explain yourself to is yourself. And so if you know that you are healthy mentally, emotionally, physically, there's no reason to explain yourself, hun. And this is the problem that we all have, is that we are all going to that. I was having a conversation actually with a lady yesterday, and it was around colorism and shadeism. So it was a little bit different, but around the same context, in that, why are you explaining yourself to others that are questioning you? And why are they questioning you? Are you here to help me in this moment? The answer is no. You can go. Next. Okay, last question. I'm going to tackle it. Okay. This comes from Rupert out in Ottawa. What if trashy is sexy to me? Nobody want to hear about your fat. Well, if trashy is sexy to you, I first of all, what is trashy? You would have to define trashy to me, sir. Okay. So I would have to know what your idea of trashy is, okay? And then we can have that conversation as to whether or not it's sexy. To Well, then again, if it's sexy to you, it's sexy to you. Everybody have their thing. Good for you that trashy is sexy to you. Hold on to that. Um, don't know what to say about that one. I don't know what to say about that one. That's a difficult one because he's saying trashy is sexy to him. Well, then trashy is sexy to you. What do you want? What do you want me to say? It is what it is. However, we don't know what your trashiness looked like, so have fun with it. I love our fans; they're hilarious. Okay. Well, with that, Colette, it is the last minute of the show. You want to tell people where they can find us going forward? Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So it's embrace underscore your underscore edges on Instagram. We're taking over the Hot Tea with Pleasure platform. So you will still see some of the shows from before in there. We're going to keep that because there was very important work and we want to keep that there. However, you will see a line that separates the two shows and the transition. Give us some time to set everything up. We will be back with you on March 2nd. Is it March 2nd we're going to start? It'll be daily. So, uh, mm-hmm. Yes, I mean, yes. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, speaker underscore H Sandyford. Yeah, that you can find me there on Instagram, and then on Facebook you can find me at Hilly Sandyford. You can find me there. Um, and yeah, leave the link below. Exactly. And then I'll be back on the air in March, but for now we're going to be building all the different websites and different things like that. We're going to get everything going so that we be ready and prepared for March 1st. Be a little bit more excitement on the show because now we can do a lot of edits and have some fun with the edits. There's a lot of musical things in here. There's a lot of things that we can do, and I don't have to worry about backgrounds and all kind of things like that. I can just be my authentic self. This is who I am, and I am not planning on changing anytime soon, except for aging, because that is real. Well, that is it for Hot Tea with Pleasures. Again, we thank you so much for always tuning in with us, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on YouTube. Yep, yeah, thank you to thank you to Petra, Baby I, for all the regulars that came through. Rudy, Victor, thank you so much. Who else was there? There was a couple of others that would come in through. Oh, Tenny. Remember Tenny? Tenny would come through every so often. We want to thank, and then, you know, thanks to our tech crew, Kobe and Dalton, for really helping us and saving us sometimes. And so I will still be on Riverside. I will also be on YouTube. Those are the only two platforms I will be on. I am not going to try Instagram. I'm sorry. You're to find me. I will have probably once in a while I'll do a little something, but I will have a couple of lives coming up soon in February to kind of get you hyped for the show and give you a little taste of what's coming. I can't wait for the first edit to happen so you can actually see the show. I really am excited about that because, as I said, if my show is up, that means the book's coming out. Okay, so collect. That's it. We're a wrap. Okay, okay. I'll try to play it one more time. The extra. I don't think it can play, but let's see if it will play on the way out. There we go. Nope, not playing. Intro got to. I'm just like, bye. You all have to be real. Okay. All right. Anyways, that's it. Yeah. So on the other side, remember every day at 5:30 a.m. Embrace your edges. You can catch it on YouTube. You can catch it on Spotify, and you can catch it on RSS and all your platforms. I'm excited. Can't wait. And of course, that lubricant is definitely coming out this summer. Cheers. Bye. Thank you, everybody.